Yeah, you have to cover a lot of ground. It's with very few exceptions, you're not recruiting the same guys at Dayton that you are at Indiana. So, um, guys are talking to me about players who I've heard their reputations, but I haven't seen them before. So, the next 2 weekends, obviously, it's good. You have all four guys out, and you just got to cover a lot of ground, see a lot of different guys. You rely on some of your relationships that you had in the past, talking to different high school and AU coaches. Obviously, it's been well documented. We've made a lot of rounds in the state of Indiana, starting from there and kind of building from the inside out. But seeing, it's a big class, as everyone knows. And but again, you have to. It's no different where you're at. You got to find the right fit. You got to find the guy who fits the program, who fits the community, the university, and obviously the head coach as well.
Tell me, what is the right fit, both as a player and as a person?
That's a good, that's good. Everyone talks about the word culture, and sometimes it's almost become cliche now, but it is. It's everyone says culture, culture, culture. Then you see a really talented guy, and you say, well, he's really talented, but. And then are you really talking about your culture there? So it's there's definitely, you have to have a level of talent to play at Indiana in the Big Ten and succeed, but also you have to find a guy who the coaching staff and most importantly Coach Miller connects with and who will fit and kind of mesh with his personality. I think that's really important, and things like hard work and character and passion, those are all talents as well. And it's not just about running and jumping and shooting, which they are very important as well. But I think we've kind of learned over the years, our staff has learned from over the years, there's a lot that comes into that. And then obviously someone who embraces the expectations and the community of the Indiana Hoosiers.
Jeff and Terry?
What, as far as beyond recruiting, on the court coaching, do you guys, as assistants, have like certain areas? Like, is there a guard guy, a front court guy? How do you guys break up the actual like on-court duties during practices and drills and things like that?
I don't think that's been decided right now here at Indiana. We haven't talked about that. We've a lot of things going on that obviously will be. I know at Dayton it wasn't as much guards and bigs. It was more a little bit of offense, a little bit of defense. A guy who focused, and it's not as specialized as you guys know. It's not specialized like football where you're in charge of just the defense. It's not like that. You're only dealing with 13 guys, 12, 13 guys. So it's more collaborative than it would be in football. But you have a guy who focuses maybe more on the offense, a guy who focuses a little bit more on the defense, a guy who focuses maybe on rebounding or underneath out of bounds, side out of bounds, things like that. But it's I would say even though in Dayton I was more focusing on offense, it doesn't mean I didn't look at the defense or talk about the defense, and vice versa. The guy who's in charge of the defense, it's not like during a game if he saw a play or a situation that may work, he can suggest it, and it's more collaborative, I think, than anything else.
Terry?
Just talk about your own opportunity coming to Indiana, and after Archie gets hired, I mean, the process and how quickly you knew that you were going to be coming here as well.
Well, it's an unbelievable opportunity. It's an opportunity I can't be, couldn't have more gratitude towards. I'm a graduate of the University of Minnesota. I'm from Minnesota, so I know a lot about Indiana and their tradition and the power of the brand. And so that's a special, special opportunity, and I'm very thankful. I'm sure just like you guys, I didn't get here by accident. I had a lot of help along the way. I'm sure you guys, to be where you're at, had some help along the way, and I'm very mindful of that I didn't, for a guy who was a very average basketball player and who just loved the game and who tried to put his head down and work, I had to have some people who helped me, and I'm very, very grateful for that. The process, I interviewed for the head coaching job at Dayton. I clearly didn't get it, otherwise I probably wouldn't be here right now, but so that process took about a week or 10 days. Coach Miller was kind enough to say, really support me in that process and, try to help me. So I did that, and then, he basically said, whatever happens, you have an opportunity to come to IU when the timing's right. So when he got the job, obviously it's, it affects a lot of people, some good, some bad. Anytime there's a coaching change, it affects just numerous people. Again, some very positive, some very negative, some kind of in between. But what happens? I have a wife and 3 small children, and she was as most wives do, asking a lot of questions and asking, what do you think is going to happen? And so we went through the process, the Dayton process, and Coach Miller, again, was very, very patient, supportive of that process. And then when that didn't work out, we kind of moved on to come to Bloomington.
Chris?
Tom, as closely as you've worked with Archie, how would you describe his leadership style, particularly in times of adversity? One of his many great strengths, he's unapologetically who he is every day. The person you see is not different than the person I see, the person the players see, the different person the donors see, or the athletic director, the president. He is who he is. He's as genuine and as real as it gets. And he is who he is regardless of the previous outcome, which could be very positive or could be at times negative. It's probably well documented. We went through some adversity at Dayton off the court, and again, that's when his leadership skills really, really shine. I mean, you find out, who someone is in times of adversity, and we faced some adverse times. We obviously had some really good times at Dayton as well, but as a leader, when things aren't going well, he just rises to the top. But what you guys will notice and what everyone will find out is he is the same guy every day. He is is as genuine, as real as it gets, and that's no matter who his audience may be at the time.
Stuart?
Coach, you worked with Billy Donovan, Coach Donovan, early in your career. He had a successful run in Florida. Of course, he's now with the NBA's Oklahoma City Thunder. What did you learn from him during that time you spent as a member of his staff, and how did that shape your approach to your coaching career?
The number one thing you figured out about Billy is no matter if it was our first year at Florida or I joined him in the second year, I should say, or after we came off, the Final Four, whatever the case may be, it's just nothing can duplicate, nothing can replace work. You work and you put your head down, you treat people right, you surround yourself with passionate, loyal, and bright people, you solicit their opinions, and you work. One of the similarities I'd say Archie and Billy have is they're deep thinkers. They put a lot of thought into things. There's no decision, big or small, is like a spur of the moment. Let's just go with it. It's not a whim decision. They both feel in their hearts, and they're usually right, if not always right, that if I put enough thought, if I put enough time into this, if I ask enough people that I trust their opinions, and that I can come, and they have this great talent of putting all 15, 20, 10 people, whatever, people's opinions in this barrel, and they kind of mix it all up, and they come up with the right decision almost all the time. And that's a great talent. But with Billy, it's just nothing. Deep thought, getting a lot of people's opinions that you trust, and then just put your head down and work, treat people the right way, and have a lot of passion and love what you do, no matter, again, what the situation you may be in, and it usually works out for the best.
Tom, every coach in every sport wants to recruit in-state. As you approach the state of Indiana, do you do something different than maybe you have before? I know there was a football coach here that said he was going to visit every high school in the state, and it turned out to be physically impossible. But he tried, and there's just no way.
Yeah.
But how do you do that maybe to really lock into the state and try to keep the best players here?
Well, it's clearly important, and it's clearly, I think, I'm sure a lot of coaches in a lot of different sports and a lot of different great institutions will say the same thing, but you build kind of from the inside out, and you start in this great state with the great coaching and the great players. Did we hit every school in the state? Obviously we didn't, but we tried our best to get as many as we can, and we'll continue to do that. And I think, again, you build equity in the relationships, which is just kind of, whether you're recruiting or just the business or anything else, that whether a coach has a good player that's good enough for Indiana or don't, you treat them right. They're always welcome to come to practice. They're welcome to games, and you kind of embrace them with open arms, whether they have good players or not, and just show a lot of respect, because the coaching in the state is unbelievable. It's as good as it gets, and I think you start that way, and the people I've encountered in the short time, they want Indiana to do well. Most of them are Indiana fans. Most of them are supporters of Indiana. So if you start with that premise that they want to see you succeed, and you treat them right and treat them with respect, and don't treat them the same way, like I said before, treat them the same way whether they have a great player or they don't have a great player. And
then you build again from the inside out, and that's, yeah. But if you're at Indiana and you represent this great university, I think you start you start with the state of Indiana, with all its great talent and great coaching.
Mike, Coach Miller was saying earlier that he was almost surprised to see just how quickly the guys who were currently on the team just responded to the change. And did that kind of strike you too, just seeing how guys were, I guess, fast to embrace you guys and what you guys are trying to do?
Kids are resilient. I'm sure there's whenever there's a coaching, just at Dayton, when I talk to the guys there at Dayton, they're resilient. They kind of, even like when you lose a game, they get over the game quicker than the coaching staff does. They kind of move on to the next play a little bit faster. That's just the way society is, and that's the way kids are. When you're 18 to 23 years old, your worries probably don't burden you as much as they do when you're a little bit older. So, but they've been great. They've been awesome. They've worked really hard. They've done everything. They've bought in. They've, in a short period of time, they've come to try to trust us and do as we ask them to do, and their attitudes and just their body language and things like that have all been just terrific.